Hello and welcome back to the Transform Awards North America 2025. Well, I'm delighted to be joined now by Landor. We have Ryan Frost, who is the Executive Creative Director, and Marina Amarato, who is the Managing Director of the New York office. Now, you guys have been shortlisted in an incredible number of categories for tonight's awards. I think it's 13 in all, and that's ranging across 6 projects, which is very impressive in itself. But I wanted to focus on a couple of the projects in particular that really caught my eye. And the first is the New York Golf Club. So perhaps you could tell me a little bit about that organization for anyone who wouldn't know what they are and what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, so the New York Golf Club has a really interesting it's a really interesting moment in time for golf, I think, right? Because it's kind of got this perception of being stuffy only on the golf courses in country clubs that are not accessible to all, to this vision that Tiger Woods and Ricky Fowler had about making it much more vibrant, much more accessible, much more exciting and entertaining, utilizing technology in order to do that. And so there's these great dichotomies, right, between what it was and what it is. But then you add this mix of New York City, right, because it's the New York Golf Club. So how do you really do justice to the vibrant culture of the Big Apple and find its place within this more modern, more inclusive take on an iconic sport?
Absolutely. It's such a fascinating project. And of course, from a brand design perspective, you came up with that birdie concept. So perhaps you could tell me a little bit about that and the general visual identity you kind of envisioned.
Yeah, of course. So when we think about creating a brand identity, right, we're trying to create something that has these layers of story, right? Things that become myth, things that become really motivational for internal teams and external teams. So like when we're thinking about the New York Golf Club, we knew we wanted something that was as strong pictorially as the I Love New York, right? That's a testament to New York culture. So when you think about the symbol that we created with the circular motion of the birdie, literally circling your birdie, and then the way that we actually drew the bird itself, you get that subtle hint to the golf club in there. It's perched on a tee. So all of those people that know golf and are more emotionally connected with golf, they can actually find those little smiles in the mind. And it just brings a little bit of a levity to what is a very dusty, typically performance-based category.
Absolutely. And one other part of the project that was quite important, but perhaps isn't for all brand design projects, it sort of gets ignored a little bit, is the idea of internal communications. So how were you able to engage the internal audience, the employees, and sort of make them part of the process?
Yeah, interesting. So whenever we're going through a branding program with any of our clients, the input that we get at the very beginning of a process from stakeholders, from internal teams, that's honestly where we draw all of our insights. So we would never skip that, right? So once we've got that insight, they're immediately baked into the work. So getting them on board with the work later down the line isn't a hurdle. It actually becomes a celebration for them. So they can see themselves, their comments, their thoughts in the work. And that's just a really important part of how we go about building our brands so they endure over time and that they're relevant to every audience.
Absolutely. Best of luck for that project tonight. And the second one I wanted to talk about is Lobo 1707. So a really interesting tequila brand. I think there's lots of cliches perhaps in that kind of industry. Could you tell me a bit about those from a design perspective and how you sort of went about going in a different direction to kind of avoid them?
Yeah, well, in the category, I mean, you could say cliches in the tequila category, but you could blow that out into cliches and celebrity alcohol brands. I mean, it's proliferating. Everyone's got one nowadays. It's either that or a beauty brand. Take your pick. But in this space, there was a couple of really interesting truths that we wanted to center on to drive authenticity, to drive differentiation. And I'll name a couple for them, and Ryan can talk about the design. So one being that there was a unique founder story. There's a founder, and then there's also sort of folks who backed it. So the founder has a history and a heritage in Spanish wine. And there's a product truth embedded in that. So the tequila is finished in sherry casks. And so we brought together that feeling really quite interesting. Secondly, there was a specificity around the people who are behind it, right? The celebrities themselves. So folks like Arnold Schwarzenegger and and others to kind of think about what is the unique spirit behind them. LeBron James is a part of that mix. The folks who defied the odds and made things happen for themselves. And then thirdly, the name. Lobos translates to wolf in English. And so that audacity, that kind of freedom, that independence, and how can we bring all of that together and make a brand that feels really true to the story behind it?
Absolutely. And Ryan, tell me about the packaging. How did you design that and instill that idea of real craftsmanship into it?
Yeah, of course. So like if you take the idea of defiance and the wolf, right, you've got to bring that to life through the design principles. It means that you kind of book every convention as a design code in the category. So when you're starting to think about crafting that label, it should look nothing like anything else that exists, because we're the wolf, right? And we don't take command, we don't take anyone else's instinct, it's all our own. So every little millimeter, while simple, that label is considered and really ensures that every little part of it is built to engage every sense. So there's subtle embossings, there's the textural differences in the stocks. Interestingly, working with Lobos, because they come through such an exponential set of growth and they were getting ready to essentially position themselves for further investment, we actually didn't touch the structure of the bottle. We'd actually identified the structure of the bottle, which is such an important thing for a brand, a tequila brand. It's actually already iconic. It actually become really powerful with its current consumer base. So we designed the label to elevate the structure and the stature of that bottle, creating something that just felt a lot more refined and not at odds with one another, and really just lean into that subtle confidence of a wolf.
Absolutely. Two fantastic projects. It'll be really exciting to see how they get on tonight. But one final thing I wanted to talk to you about is the fact that Landor are up for a number of individual awards tonight, including Young Contender of the Year. So how does Landor kind of foster this environment where young creative talent can emerge and thrive?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it starts with what brand means to us at Landor, right? A brand is a strategic business tool. Therefore, design, when we're thinking about our young contenders, they are an unfair advantage in our industry. So we rear them, we bring them up on the notion that your work is going to create a meaningful difference in the marketplace. And because we have such amazing partners with our brand performance team, at every step of the way, even internally, we're proving what our work is going to do in the marketplace. And that takes our designers' mindsets from, oh, I'm decorating and I'm being artful, to I'm creating meaningful difference in the industry. And I think once that clicks for them, that's when you get into young contender mode. It's like, I am actively solving problems that people need solving. So I think that's one of the fundamental things purposefully that drives our culture and really drives an exceptional set of talent.
Well, fantastic. And as I say, 6 clients across 13 categories tonight. It's set to be a really fun one. Ryan, Marina, thank you so much for your time.